The winds of fate have shifted in the tranquil village of Emmerdale, and with them comes a storm of revelations that will leave no stone unturned. The saga of Rose Jackson has been a slow burn, but now her story has finally reached its boiling point. What was once hidden in shadows has been dragged into the harsh light of day, and the consequences are nothing short of catastrophic. Rose Jackson's sudden and mysterious disappearance sent ripples of unease through the village. When her belongings were discovered abandoned by the roadside, suspicion naturally fell on Tate and Will Taylor. After all, these two have been at the center of more than one sinister plot. Yet, as the truth unraveled in a series of haunting flashbacks, it became clear that this was no ordinary disappearance. Rose's final hours in Emmerdale were marked by betrayal, manipulation, and a desperate bid for redemption that ultimately led her far from the Dales. The flashbacks revealed a truth more twisted than anyone could have imagined. After being dumped by the roadside by Kim and Will, Rose's path crossed with that of her daughter, Dawn. It was in these stolen moments that Rose laid bare the extent of her involvement in Ruby Fox Milligan's devious scheme to tear Kim and Will apart. Even more shocking was Rose's confession that she had intended to drug Will, a plan that went awry and ended with Dawn as the unintended victim. In a moment of raw vulnerability, Rose admitted that she had fallen for Dawn and her family, despite the toxic game she was forced to play. This confession, laden with guilt and regret, set the stage for her ultimate departure, but Rose wasn't ready to disappear into the night without making one last, desperate attempt to do right by her daughter. Handing over a significant sum of money to Dawn, Rose implored her to use it to escape the dark shadow of home farm. It was a final act of love from a mother who had lost everything but her desire to protect her child. Dawn, torn between her lingering love for her mother and the bitter taste of betrayal, made the fateful decision to drive Rose to the airport. As Rose walked away from Emmerdale, perhaps for good, Dawn was left to grapple with the heavy burden of her secrets. Yet, Dawn's trials were far from over. The tangled web of lies spun by Will in his efforts to shield Kim from suspicion began to unravel, and with it, so did the fragile threads holding Dawn's life together. Discovering that Will was willing to risk everything, even the health of her son Evan, to protect Kim, was the final straw. Dawn, with a heavy heart, made the decision to break free from the toxic ties binding her to home farm. She took the money her mother had given her and secured a new home at Holdgate, a place where she hoped to build a new life away from the suffocating grip of her past. As Dawn and her family prepared to leave their old lives behind, the village of Emmerdale braced for the inevitable fallout. With Will left alone to confront the wreckage of his lies and the looming return of Kim Tate from her business trip, the stage is set for an explosive showdown. How will Kim react when she discovers that her carefully constructed world is teetering on the brink of collapse? And what will become of Dawn as she steps into a new chapter of her life, haunted by the ghosts of her past? In Emmerdale, the past has a way of catching up with you when you least expect it. As the dust settles and the truth comes to light, one thing is certain: nothing will ever be the same again. The villagers may think they know the whole story, but in a place like Emmerdale, the truth is rarely that simple.